We are Gold Ivy.
Our mission is to empower you to own and unleash your truth.
Stories of resiliency are gold, and ivy grows in hard places.
Those hard places are what create space for light to shine through.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production. Brooke, what do you think everyone wants more of?
Energy.
What do you think most people are hoping to come out of 2023 with?
Feel more confident, be an example for others, actually have the self-discipline to take care of themselves.
Yes, exactly. Because we hear the need for it and we want to help you get in the best shape of your life, we created Move with Gold Ivy, our virtual workout platform.
Our dream has been to create accessible, affordable, and effective workouts that you can do anytime, anywhere, designed to hold you accountable and get you the results you need.
You can pick any workout you want at any time, but if you do want a plan that alternates muscle groups and leaves your body feeling energized and strong, we have a weekly plan that you can follow to take the guesswork out.
It's easy to navigate and packed with all kinds of workouts that will help you strengthen, trim, pump up, tone, energize, de-stress, all of the things we want our body to feel. It's within Move.
Don't forget to mention the resources we offer. As a member of Move with Gold Ivy, you'll be a part of our exclusive Ivy League community, where we share our top wellness resources on things like meal planning, gut health hacks, time management, and more.
And because you listen to the Ivy Unleashed podcast, we want to offer you all of this for only $20 a month, cheaper than any monthly membership you'll find.
Not only that, you'll get a free trial week to test it out.
And if you need more incentive to start prioritizing you, here's our favorite part. Your movement matters. Each month, 10% of your membership will be donated to support the mental health of those in need.
So head on over to goldivyhealthco.com/move or find the link within the show notes of this episode and sign up today. Stop putting yourself in the back burner. Snag your spot and reap the benefits that you deserve to feel this year.
It's your time. Move for your health, move for your confidence, move for your mental clarity, move with Gold Ivy.
Welcome back to the Ivy Unleashed podcast. We are so excited you are tuning in. The energy we are about to bring you, you are in for a treat.
With the one and the only Lindsey Roberts, welcome to Ivy Unleashed.
Hi guys, thank you. I'm going to be honest, I tried to say the name and I completely butchered it. That is a mouthful. Lindsey.
That's correct.
Usually goes by Linz because she's a very warm, personable person. Anybody that's around Linz, she's a very magnetic soul, very warm, very funny. She's the type of person that you want to people watch with because what will come out of her mouth you'll just be rolling. She's hilarious. And Lindsey and I go back to college days. And since then, we got married a month apart.
Oh, yeah.
Have a handful of kids. And
a handful, yeah.
A bus full.
And life has brought a lot of unexpected things, both of our ways, in a lot of different areas. And so Lindsey has a story to share. And I think you're going to love to hear this perspective for a lot of different reasons. I feel like I'm being very mysterious.
I know you are. I'm like, what else did I do?
Well, you gotta save a little surprise for him to hear what this is going to be, because it is kind of surprising the way that life can twist and turn in directions you don't expect.
Yes.
And what Brooke and I, from like knowing what you've been through, we keep thinking about how you're owning your happiness. And you've worked with Catherine, our coach, whose episode aired today, which I feel like is just divine timing. But Lindsey is the type of person that like saves her pennies. And the fact that
drinking my water slow so it'll last.
So Lindsey is a saver, and for her to invest in herself was also very shocking. To work with a coach costs money.
A lot.
And I think it was really important that you did. So let's talk about your journey to owning your happiness, Linz.
Wow. I don't even know where to start. COVID. I don't know if you guys are familiar, if you've heard about this COVID thing, but COVID was a very big eye-opener for me. And I know a million people. And I always tell Mike that we will be in our children's history books, because what I'm about to say, we are not alone in. I think it's not sad, though. I'm not going to say sad. That's not a word I used. But I basically was entrapped isn't a positive word either. I was at home working, living, parenting. I think I was a teacher in there as well and daycare provider. And chef. Yeah, there was a lot of things that I was doing.
Housekeeper.
Yeah. Yep. All of it. Tied up. Weather lady. And I typically am on the go, moving 100 miles an hour. I'm really good at like doing tasks. Mike was in the military. So Mike is my ex-husband. And, married to him, a lot of my daily tasks, which now I've realized are probably just distractions, were about supporting everybody else. We lived in Colorado. He deployed twice the first 3 years of our marriage. We had 2 kids. We still have them. They're real cute. Moved a lot. I think we've lived in 7 places. And Mike is a freaking go-getter. He's like always dreaming up the next thing. So always busy. Both of us working our day jobs. He's always working his other side gig. And so we didn't spend a ton of time together through our marriage. And then COVID was like, I'm going to show you what's up. And then I feel like it was, holy crap, that was a really chaotic time, like in our house. And not chaotic necessarily in a bad way, but it was just busy. A lot was going on. But I think at the same time, like my busy brain was starting to like slow down. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have control over it, I don't think. And I started being like, holy cow, where has my life gone? Like, this is insane to me. I still don't know how old I am. I think my sister told me I'm 36. I don't know.
You're 36.
Thank you.
April Fool's Day.
Woo! Yeah, there it is. So I think I just started getting scared because I was realizing like how fast time was going. And then it was like, holy crap. And then I needed space, definitely needed space. So I did what anybody would do. And I bought Mike a plane ticket to Colombia for 2 weeks.
Because his family's from there.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't like ship him off.
But kinda.
I was just like, I just needed to breathe. Yeah, he left. It was great for him. Like he had a blast. But I had like a very eye-opening 2 weeks. I know a lot of people were like, how are you going to do this with the kids? It's 2 weeks. Like, I was like, I don't know, but I'll just do it. And then it was, I was like going through it and I was like, this is easy. Like the kids and I were like jiving. And like, I feel like I was, which is weird, but I was like super calm. I was like leaving dishes in the sink. Like, nah, do that later. I watched TV a lot. Yellowstone series twice. Which I remember telling my mom and dad, and they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm caught up. I'm right where you guys are twice. I know exactly what happened. And it sounds silly, but like I don't think I sat on the couch for like 2 years living in that house. I just didn't stop moving. I was just like, nope, I can do it. Anyone needed help? Yep, got it. I'll go here, I'll go there. And so it was really freaking scary. And I remember, it sounds awful, but it's not awful because it's what it was. But I remember when he was flying back and I was like, okay, I got to go pick him up. But I was like dreading it. And it was like, I didn't want him to come back. And I remember like picking him up and he like came in the car and I like hugged him. And I feel like he also, whether he will ever admit it, I don't know. But like, I think that 2 weeks changed him too. Cause I remember him saying like he was super happy. And I think he was scared to say that. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. And I remember he was like, so you weren't like dying to come pick me up? And I was like, no, no, I was okay. And it was kind of like, crap, like something's not right. And he knew it too. And I think it was just like, it felt like it was like a dam and then like it cracked. And then it was like, there was no stopping it. It was happening and it was insane a little bit.
So what was the timing of that? So COVID things are shut down. Mm-hmm. So he could obviously fly. So how far after, like what timeline is this?
So that was November of 21.
Okay.
Yeah. He was gone for like 2 weeks right before.
So he comes back. And you're like, there's no salvaging this. I have to say something.
Well, it was hard because we didn't talk. Like I didn't even know how to have a conversation with him. So it's so weird because now I like chat his ear off. But like at the time, we didn't talk. So I didn't.
Which makes sense. It sounds weird because you're husband and wife, but in reality, you had a very fast engagement from dating to engage very fast. And then you had a very fast engagement to wedding. And then you had a very fast wedding to children, very fast to deployments, very fast to moving across the country. Everything was very fast and you weren't together, which I know you kind of said that, but I think that's important to hit home is that the communication, well, there's lots of different reasons why there's no communication about feelings. Lindsey grew up in a German home where that's just tough. Your family's all sentimental and crying and hugging and talking all the time now, but I think that's part of it's important to note that why you didn't talk that much.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I didn't know how to start this conversation with Mike at all. You know, the time kind of went and it just kept feeling like heavier and heavier. And I remember saying like, I feel like I can't be in my house. And I feel like I need to stop there and just say, people are probably like, what did he do? Because I feel like that's what everybody always asked. Like if I was like, we're gonna, separate. It's like, what did he do? He didn't do anything. Like Mike's great. He was great. He still is great. But I had like the freedom to do whatever I want. He worked his butt off. I have a beautiful house. We had a good life. Like it wasn't bad. It just was, I was alive, but I wouldn't say I was like living.
You were comfortable.
Yeah. And I told myself a million times, like, you can just keep doing this. Like, this will be fine. Like, it's whatever. But we were like complacent roommates. We slept in separate beds. And looking back, I totally blamed that on his snoring. But really, it was like, I just wanted my space, kind of. It became so normal to us. And I had an eye-opener because we hit our 10-year anniversary. And this would have been in March of that year. And he was like, where do you want to go? I'll fly us anywhere in the world. And I was like, it's COVID. I don't think we should go on a trip. Looking back, it's like, I just didn't want to go on a trip. I want to go all over the damn world. I just didn't want to at that time with Mike, which is, again, sounds not great. But I didn't know what in the world was happening. But I knew that, like, I needed to figure out what the heck I was doing in my brain and my soul. Nothing was, like, smooth. And then it was Christmas. Mike is sentimental. Colombians, love him. And wrote a card to me. It's, like, right here. I keep it with me. I kept it with me every day. And it was under the Christmas tree, which is normal for him to do. Which is so weird because it's like, okay, Mike. Anyway. And in it, he's just like, COVID was really hard on the world. I think it was really hard on us. I think we need to take 2022 to, focus on this relationship. And he's like, I am here to do, whatever you think we need to do. And he's like, but we need to bring it back from the brinks of failure is like what his like last line was. And it was really hard for me because I don't feel like we failed. I wouldn't say it failed. It didn't fail. I just think it was like chapters 1 through 4 or something in my book. And I don't even know how many chapters I'll have, and I read that and I like sat with it. And this is like 4 hours before my entire family is coming over because I host Christmas, which is always fun. It really is fun. And we do Christmas, but I'm just like not, like I just feel weird. It's just like I just felt like, it's almost like I felt like my life was changing. And I was like sort of watching it from the outside in a weird way. And then Christmas, my dad and I were like the last ones up. Oh, my sister. And I don't know. I feel so out of body, like thinking back, but I just started like word vomiting to my dad. Like I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be married to Mike. And my dad's like, what? Like, because I didn't ever talk about my feelings. And they never said like, how is your marriage doing?
Well,
like,
nobody's divorced in your family.
And nobody's divorced in my family. They've been married 44 years. I bet it's been bliss, I'm sure. And of course, my German father, I'm like, I don't know, Dad. I just feel like I should have someone that I like want to go out to dinner with. And he's like, ah, fuck. Like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you're going to give me?
Good.
Glad I opened up to you, pal. And then I remember saying, like, Dad, we don't sleep in the same bed. And for whatever reason, that he was like, wow, like you guys are way too young for that. And he was like, that's like not, I don't like that. And then I felt like his like hard exterior kind of was like breaking down, not breaking down, like he didn't cry. He would never. But it was just like softening up.
He was like, oh, this is serious.
Uh-huh. And then I hate this part of it. It's so true. I was like creating this like terrible person in my brain. Like I was like making it sound like Mike was the worst, because then it was like, duh, if he's the worst, like, of course you're going to leave. Right. And he wasn't the worst, but I had him under a microscope, which is like, shame on me for doing that. Like, how dare I? And yet I wasn't even, Mike was like starting a company and I never asked him about it. You probably know more about it. I was like, I don't care what you're doing. And looking back, like, again, A plus B equals C, and that is a marriage, in case anyone ever questions that. Yeah, I was like trying to create this horrible person. I think I said, I hate Mike, and Mike was walking up the stairs from the basement because he was having a slumber party with Emerson in the basement. And I told my dad, I hate Mike, and he was just about to open the door. And he told me this the next day. And then he didn't come up and like went back down. And of course that crushed him, right? Like that would crush anybody. So then when he told me that, then it was like crushing me, because it was like, I don't hate him. I would never hate him. But I was like turning into this like monster sort of thing. I don't know what it was, and that's when I just was like, something's got to give. And I wrote Mike back. It was like 8 pages. And it was just like, I need to take some time in my brain. I was like, I think you need to take some time. You got to figure out, like, is this also what you want, or is this just what you're used to? And it feels like you're supposed to. You know, Mike always was like, I don't believe in marriage, or I don't believe in divorce. And I always used to be like, well, then that's the problem, because it's real and it's out there. Mm-hmm. And I psychotically started researching, because that's what I do. Like, I literally knew how to birth a child before I birthed a child. I was like, okay, that's going to happen. This is going to trigger. I'm going to feel that. And I'm going to do, like, I was like Googling nonstop.
I need to prepare myself.
Yeah. I was like, I got to find the manual. Like, someone tells you how to do this out there. But I didn't even know what this was at the time. So that's kind of confusing too. And then I was like taking quizzes. Like, should I stay in this marriage? How do I have a conversation with somebody I don't talk to about how I feel? I don't even know if I am feeling. I was not feeling. I learned that. I had no feelings. And Mike used to say that for years. Mike was like, you are like dead inside. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like the funnest damn person here. Like, I'm not dead inside, but I was. Like, I wasn't actually feeling anything. I just was moving through. And then I went to, oh my gosh. If there was a resource out there, I was going to do it. And then I started listening to a shit ton of podcasts, because I was like, surely there's a podcast who has done this and they will tell me what to do. And again, I didn't know what this was. Then I went to a medium, because if she could see the future, she would tell me what I was supposed to do. So that was interesting.
What was that like?
Actually amazing. I think everybody should do it.
How did you find them?
Google.
And you went in person?
Yeah, I like literally scheduled it 3 hours, New Year's Eve, 3 hours before I went there.
What did you learn?
I walked in and we like sit down, and she was like, oh my gosh, can you breathe? Like, I can feel your heavy chest. And I was like, no. And I like, it was fascinating. And she was like, I know nothing, because I didn't say anything. I just said, like, it's New Year's Eve. I'd like to come have an appointment with you. I forget what it was called. Mm-hmm. And she was like, wow, you are at like a crossroads in your life. And I was like, which road do I take? Help me. It's crazy. Everyone should do it, because she knows stuff that I'm like, nobody would have told her that.
I mean, she knew what your dog looked like.
Toby came. I cried so hard when she was like, there's a white fluffy dog. I'm like, Toby's back?
Did she ruin your future?
No. She was like, I think you know what to do. Actually, she said something that was super great. And I like try to remember this. I forget exactly what she said, but she was like, you have soul contracts in your life. And she was like, you had a contract with Mike and you fulfilled that contract. And so did Mike. This is really testing my memory. But I think she said like, my part of the contract was like to support him, be something stable. There was like 3 things. And it was like, yeah, I did that because I like kept his life together while he deployed. Like I did do that. And I remember like his part of the contract was to show me my worth, to give me confidence and like unconditional love or something, which like, yes, he totally did that. So I remember thinking like, oh, okay. And then she was like, you know, my grandma Ryle, who I'm named after, my middle name, she was a badass. Like she was one of the first like flight nurses. She was badass. And I remember her telling me like, she's with you and she's like, you're going to be okay. And I was like, okay. And I did not say this during that time, but I was always years prior. I'm like, I can't like leave Mike. I can't afford to leave Mike. Like financially, I can't do that. And she was like almost done. And she was like, sorry, there's one more thing coming through. And it's like, it's about money. And like, you don't need to worry about money. Just people want you to know you don't need to worry about money. And I was like, okay, I'm going to win the lottery or something. But I was like, okay. And so I left and it was, oh my gosh, I cried from, I think I saw her at like 3:30 p.m. I think I cried until midnight finally came and I could like go to bed. And I was like, in my heart, I'm like, I think this is the last New Year's I'm going to be married and married to Mike. Because maybe I'll get married. I don't know. But like married to Mike. I just like knew and I was like, shit. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And then I was like trying all the therapies. I did equine therapy because there was a therapy out there. I was going to do it.
Horses.
Equine?
Equine. Horse.
Horse therapy.
Like you pet horses?
No, you like bring them through obstacles that you tie to like your life.
She did grow up with horses.
I did grow up with horses.
Okay. I've heard good things about horses. I've heard that like there's a deep connection.
Yeah.
They like sense emotions and
Because they don't, like when we are like, oh, Brooke's looking at me funny. She must be like thinking this in her brain. Horses don't do that. They're like, Brooke's looking at me. I'm going to go towards her. Like they just, everything is like face value, which is fascinating. Then I did regular therapy too. But I didn't need therapy. I like knew why I was where I was at.
you were like searching for a different answer
I'm like,
that you already
yeah,
knew
I
within
want
you.
like someone to help me figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do here. I know why I'm here, hands down. But what do I do now?
Well, and it's a taboo topic. There's a lot of judgment involved. And as much as like we're in the progressive society, we're a very young society. Like, you know, the rights to vote weren't even like that long ago that this has happened. Like divorce is still a really tough thing for a kid to admit their parents are going through it, for adults to admit that they've had one, to put it on a dating app. Like it's still very taboo. And so to openly say it, there's shock value in it. And you have to be ready for people's comments and judgment and all of that. So how was that when you realized it? Because I'm your friend and I didn't know about it until I showed up at your house and asked where Mike was a few months later. So talk about that, which there's no judgment there at all, but like talk about that isolation and how you handled people.
I was very, very selective and intentional. And I became really private, which is so weird because I will sit anywhere you ask me anything and I'll tell you everything. But suddenly I didn't want to say anything about anything. And I didn't necessarily know I was going to get a divorce. I just was like, something's not right in my life. And which, you know, talking about the taboo, like we don't have divorce anywhere. So like it was really scary. And like, I feel like that's not talked about a lot, but it's very powerful. Like, yep, my parents have been together 44 years. That means Oma and Opa have been together like 60 something years. You know, like I didn't even know where to begin saying this. So it was really hard. And I didn't know. I just was like, I'm going to start focusing on myself. Mike started seeing a therapist. Like, let's find somebody like that will, help us with our thoughts and minds. And I think I had a conversation with you and I was like, I don't know. I just need help. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Not opening up to entirely what I was analyzing. And that's when you were like, I forget if it was like a free trial with Catherine, like
discovery.
Discovery. And I was like, I'll do any damn discovery out there right now. And so I like get on this call with her and I'm like mesmerized. And I was like, I'm in love with this woman. Like, where are you? And she was like, okay, gotta go, bye, hang on. And I was like, no, like, you can't leave me. You're like the first thing that's actually like making me not feel crazy. And like, you're going to help me. I can just tell, I can feel it. Like, please, can you just move in? Why don't you move in and we'll figure this out together. And it's like, it was insane. And
she
then
texted me, she's like, am I really about to drop this money on, like, is it really worth it? And I was like, completely transformational. If that's what you feel like you need, you are worth every penny.
Which was terrifying. Like,
What about it was terrifying? Like investing that money in you.
yes, because it wasn't like I was getting groceries, right? I'm always like you pay this, you get this, and it's like a tangible thing and you like have it. It was so hard for me to fathom that.
What made you decide?
She just like, she made me. No, I don't know. She just like, I was like, I want this woman. Like, I felt like, oh, she will help me. I just wanted help. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know like what I needed help with. I was like, just someone freaking help me. And then I remember I did tell Mike, like, I'm going to do this. And he had a life coach, like right after getting out of the military. So like 5 years ago. And he always wanted me to get one because he was like, it was the best thing I ever did. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But in my head, I'm like, I still don't think your life is that great. So maybe it wasn't, but it was like, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. Like Mike says, I'm doing this. So then I just started that. And I don't want to give her all the credit because I worked really hard and Mike worked really hard, but I don't know that I would be where I'm at today if I didn't do that in any of my relationships, because it totally changed everything about my mind in that way.
Yeah. And it's very hard for, our listeners are going to be like, be more specific. What are you talking about? Right? Like we just, we've had her on 3 times and there is some mystery to it because everybody's experience is so unique. But if I could describe it for me, and I would love for you to kind of get more detailed on what she's done for you, but for me, it's deeper and more transformational than therapy because you have your own answers inside, mm-hmm. and she gets you to them through like this very meditative process where she's never giving you an answer. And you're never talking about anybody else. You are focusing on yourself, your deepest desires, what you want, how you want to feel. And it's all the things you never actually say out loud, but they're in there. And she helps you bring it to the surface. And then it's your new reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a self-discovery for sure, but it's also a trust in your power. That like, you already know the answer.
Yeah.
It's an identity shift, but it was your identity all along. And it's like what you don't want to face.
Mm-mm.
You're like, absolutely not. And she forces you in a very loving and gentle way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she sits there with you and is like, whenever you're ready, like, I'm not leaving you. We got
mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's definitely transformational. Yeah. What would you say, Linz?
She's amazing. And yes, I think I knew the answer in my heart, right? But I knew the answer as far as like, I think there's more out there. Like, I feel like I should want something different. Like, but I didn't know like where it was going to go or what it was going to be. I just was like, I need to do like a life deep clean. Cause like this is just, it just didn't feel right anymore. And I mean, it was so silly. Like some of our early meetings with her and she'd be like, if you could do anything, what would you do? And I was like, I don't know. I'd go to dinner. And I mean, like, God bless her for not just being like, you are pathetic. Like, come on. But again, like I didn't even know how to feel. Like I didn't even know what I wanted. I was like, I don't know.
How many women do you think that's the same for them?
That brings me to a thought. Mm-hmm. When I finally did start telling people, like, I just don't know if I should be married. And they're like, everybody does that. Like, there's so many people that are doing this out there. Everyone's separating. I'm like, where the hell are they? Who? Like, it's like, no, okay, you say that and you think that, and I know it is true. But in the moment, I'm like, I don't know anybody else who's going through this. And to be honest, nobody else will go through it because that was my thing. That was me and Mike's thing, me and the kids' thing. It isn't somebody else's thing.
Yeah, it's
and
like
this.
people go through divorce and separation, but not at the same spot that you do.
No, not at all. I mean, I remember going out to grab lunch with my sister, and this was like the first week of January, so I was just very fragile. But I felt like we walked in and I like stopped and I was like, everyone knows. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I feel like the bar sign says like, she's getting a divorce. And it was like blinking behind me. I was so fragile. And that's also when I like started just being very private and intentional with my thoughts and my conversations and, you know, bringing it back to, I didn't want to talk about it and I didn't want to tell anybody anything because I was scared. Like, if this doesn't go this way, did I now just sabotage Mike? And people are going to be like, well, your wife was feeling this way. And so how dare you? So I was so protective over, it's like a mama bear. Like I was like so protective over who I was saying anything to and what I was saying. And I knew right from the beginning, like whatever we do, this will be different. I don't know what we're doing. I mean, we talked about like, we were like, should we do the open marriage thing? Like we literally, we didn't know what we were doing, but we knew something wasn't right. So it was like, or do we stay married? We just have different houses, you know? But I'm like, well, no, because like I want to hug somebody, you know?
How did you have these conversations?
Oh,
because you said earlier you didn't talk at all.
Correct.
So was it after you started working with Catherine that then you explored other ways of continuing?
I started putting Outlook meetings on his work calendar. And then we would meet at the couch because we were working from home. So like the business partner relationship just carried on now to like the board meeting. Eventually it just became like easier. And like shame on me, right? Like I could have maybe been talking to my entire marriage. I don't think it would have changed anything necessarily, but like we were able to have communicate then. And I remember opening up, like, I just don't know, Mike. And he was like, well, you know, it still is till death do us part. It's just going to be our way. And I'm like, yeah. And we didn't even know what our way was yet. But we just knew like, we're doing this. Like if it doesn't feel right, we're not doing it. If like we were just putting ourselves at the center of every decision. And Catherine, definitely, I'd be like, okay, I know I need to talk to Mike and I just don't know. And I remember I'm like, he opens his mouth and then my heart goes 500 beats per minute. And she's like, we got to work on that. Like, that's ridiculous. Like he could just be telling you the mailman's here. Like, so again, it was like not fixing. I don't think I was broken, but changing myself to change my relationship with Mike.
Like it started from you, started within you.
Yeah. I think too with divorce, Brooke and I both have divorced parents, and there's this idea that it has to be a certain way where it's he said, she said, it's your fault, it's his fault, it's this or it's that, right? There's this polarity and it's someone's fault, right? And I think the idea is so beautiful even, and we're going to keep getting into how this went down, but like to have you both sit on a couch to talk through this lovingly and openly, to be like, we're going to do this our way, is such a foreign idea that it can be a peaceful, open discussion of, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling disconnected. Like it's both of us and we're writing each other letters and we're sitting on a couch. Like, I just want to applaud that to start. It makes me emotional because it could save so many kids' traumatic experiences, and divorce can be so toxic. And, you know, I suffer in my relationships from the way things went down when I was a kid. And I don't anymore as much because of how my parents have reconciled now. But it takes a toll when you're a kid, and for your kids to have these parents that are writing each other letters and to know something's off and to take a step back and get a therapist and get a Catherine is so huge. And if people could just do that, they might end up together. They might not end up together, but just taking those steps of like, what's going on with me and what's going on with you, and put it on the Outlook calendar, but like make it happen. It's so proud of you for doing that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It was hard. It sucks. It sucks. It's hard. I won't say it's not hard. I used to just get so pissed because I would I remember telling my mom, like, okay, I think we are going to separate, Mike's going to move into this townhome. And then she was like, I'm so mad at Mike. And I was like, well, then be mad at me too. Because again, like it's A plus B equals C. This is not Mike's fault. It's nobody's fault. Like it just is what it is. And again, like all the generations that just stay together to stay together, they're just like mind blown. Like they just can't fathom it. And I think that also fueled me. Like this, it started pissing me off so bad. Like and again, that's why when I say everybody, I was talking to like 3 people. Like, but just how they would react just made me so mad that I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm getting pissed off that you're now sorry. Don't be sorry for me. And when you'd be mad, don't be mad. I'm not mad. Why are you mad? Why the hell are you mad?
This has nothing to do with you.
Like, it used to just make me so mad. Like, well, this is going to change my life. Oh, it's not changing mine. Like, don't say that to me. Like, it used to just drive me crazy. And, we are funny looking back. We went to dinner on our anniversary. So March, when did I get married?
26th.
But we went to dinner for our anniversary. So he already had moved out, and we were still doing things super, again, not weird. Like society sucks. Like it makes me want to say all these negative words, but like it was not negative. And so I was going to say we were still doing this like weird thing. It wasn't weird. It was great. The kids were still sleeping at the Cove House, and Mike was coming over after school and staying until bedtime and then going to his townhouse and sleeping there, which we named La Chateau, because none of the houses were going to have these negative names or anything associated with it. So we were at dinner, and this is a restaurant we always used to go to. And we were just like looking at each other, and he's like, someone's got to make the call. And I was like, I think we're going to do this. Like, I think we're going to separate. Like, we're going to divorce. And he was like, okay. And like came over and we like cheersed our drinks. And then we were like talking about how like the next step. And I remember saying like, okay, I just said it out loud. I don't know where to go. So like can you do the legal shit? Cause like, I don't even know anything on where to go. Oh my gosh. And the waitress walked over and she was like, hi, I hear we're celebrating something tonight. And I like look at Mike and he's like, we are. We'll still take the dessert. And I was like, and then I'm like, Mike, I think the people around us, because we're not quiet people. I'm like, I think that they are really weirded out because I think they could hear us like cheersing because we were going to get a divorce. And it was like, we didn't care. I didn't care. Like, I was like, whatever, let them think we're freaks. I don't really care. I walked out of that with a leftover cake, flowers, a card, and the okay to get a divorce. Their ride home is probably more boring.
I did have something to celebrate.
Yeah, like this is fine. Like, it's okay. Like, it just, all the negative things. And, it was so hard. Like, I wasn't trying to be like an actress, but I also was like, everybody is watching how we are doing this. And when you live in the neighborhoods you live in today, I mean, people are like, there's like the 3rd different cars in your driveway this month. It's like, okay. Yeah, but the same person was stopping by to say hi. They have 3 cars. I mean, people judge you for everything. And I remember Mike and I were like, we didn't want to ever do anything that would fuel anybody else. Cause it's like, no, screw you. Like, don't even try. Don't try. So I think that's why we were just so intentional with those kids and like not talking about it freely. Like it was a privilege if I had you come over and I wanted to tell you that this was happening, because I had a list and Mike had a list, and it was like, okay, as soon as I stop crying next week, I'm going to have this person come over and I'm going to tell that person. And it was like so slow, but it was like probably, it was the hardest time until it like actually took place, like knowing it was coming. And I think, you know, I was like, yeah, just come over. I haven't seen you in a while. And it was so hard. You were the first friend out, you know, like a person I was going to tell. And I was like terrified because this is hard. This is going to be hard to say.
Linz, it's fine. Say it. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Just say it.
Mike and I are Griffin's godparents. And it weighed really heavy on us, both of us. Because it was like, shit, like she picked us to be this couple to guide her son, you know, in this like what you think is like the right life or whatever. And so I remember just like, this is going to suck to tell you. And I wanted to like, it sucks because it's like I didn't want to cry because then people are like, oh, you are sad. It's
How
like,
could
no.
you not cry though?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm okay. I know I'm crying. I'm okay. I'm going to cry.
But you're also
I'm
putting
feeling my feelings.
Yeah.
but you're putting yourself in the moment of how you felt then.
Yeah.
You know,
So, and I just was like, okay, like we're doing this, Andrea. And like you started crying because everybody cries. And then I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just felt so terrible. And I remember you being like, you were like, not that you said I don't care, but you were like, it's okay. Like, I'm proud of you. Like, I wanted someone, a real person to guide Griffin. Like, it's not, I'm proud of you for like being true to yourself. And then, you know, slowly it felt like every like important person that I told, it started feeling better. And like, I asked my aunts to go to happy hour. I mean, I should just do it weekly because it was so fun. But they were like, why are we here? Like, Linz, why are we here? And then I remember like, I just told them. And at the time I was like, but it's okay. Like we're getting along. Like we're not fighting. It's like, okay. And I remember my one aunt was like, she just was bawling and she was like, I am so proud of you. Like, I wish I had the strength that you have. And so people started like empowering me, where it was like, okay, like the people that I care about, and at the end of the day, I don't need 500 people to be proud of me. The people that I care about that are on this list are like, it's giving me that affirmation. Like, I'm proud of you. Like, it's okay. Like, if you're okay, this is okay. You know, I like FaceTimed I had 4 bridesmaids that I like didn't really still communicate with a lot. One of them was like my best friend from high school that I hadn't talked to in 10 years. And I sat on the couch and I was like, here goes nothing. Because like I wasn't going to allow them who stood up at my wedding to hear from somebody else. Like, absolutely not. This is not happening. Like, I will tell them. And I didn't have to do that. But I was like, I wanted to respect the people that I thought needed to hear it from me. And then, yeah, I just remember like Oma and Opa finally came home from Florida and I was like, I got to go do this to the Germans. Mm-hmm. And they were great. And I was terrified. And as soon as I'm bawling because it's Oma and I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. And my sweet Opa. And like, I start bawling and they're like, it's okay. Well, first Oma was like, did Mike do something? And I was like, no. And she was like, okay. And so it was like, okay, did I just think that they were going to handle it like trash, or like, you know, where did this come from? And it just slowly started being okay. But like, we didn't tell the kids' teachers. I was like, they don't need to know. Because they're going to come to me if they're like, you know, I'm a little worried about Emerson or Elena. So I was like, we don't need to tell anybody. Like, and not that I was ashamed of it. I just wasn't going to be like, hi, I'm Lindsey, I'm divorced. And like, this is Emerson and his parents are separating. Like, I didn't want labels, because no matter what anybody says, the second someone hears some of those words, they already have the feeling that and how they react. They've already created it before I say it. And Mike and I both were like, we're never going to say like child support. Please don't ever say that word. Like, I was like, just don't. And custody? No. we're not saying those words. Like, and we never said divorce. Like, I don't think my kids have ever heard the word. Like, it was like, no. Like, we can call this what we want to call it, and we can do this how we want to do it. And it doesn't really matter if other people can't understand it. Because last time I checked, they aren't actually in the marriage. It wasn't A plus B times 2 equals C. So it was like, we were starting to become like this like united front. Like, don't screw with us. And it's like our relationship came back through figuring out how to separate. And I am like so thankful because I have that person back that I needed, that, was my soul contract. And he is like my person that gives me confidence. And I will call him at 11 o'clock at night when I'm like upset about something and I'm analyzing it. And I know that he understands it because he lived with me. And so then he'll be like, no, you're being crazy. Like, I don't think that person feels that way about you. Like, okay, Lindsey, And so I have like my person, whatever his job is for me. I still don't know because I have no idea the future, but like, I have it back. And the best part about it is like, I need that back because we have kids and we chose to have those kids and we chose to get married. And we chose to divorce. And like, it's not fair for us to make this hard on them and be hard on us. Like, we knew it was going to freaking suck. We sat down with a mediator and it was like, we just need help financially. Like, we don't hate each other. We just don't know. What do we do? What are we doing? And I remember the guy was like, I'm sorry, I wish everybody was like you guys. Cause we were like laughing. Like, it was like, I don't know. You take the car. We don't care. And, we walked out of there and we both just started crying, but we weren't sad, but I was crying and I was like, I don't want to die alone. And I remember he was like, you won't. But like, you think about these things. I think I called you driving home from that because I was like, am I ruining my kid's life? Because I've lived, I feel like once you have kids, you live for them. But that's also how I got in this situation because I stopped living for me and stopped doing anything for me. I just was doing it for everybody else because then I could dive into that and I didn't have to actually figure out what the heck I wanted. And so I think, Mike and I both just knew like we love kids. Mike loves kids. Oh my gosh. Like,
he'd have 17.
Yeah, he literally last night at 11:45, he was like, I think I want to have another baby. I'm like, do you got a girlfriend? Like, where are you going to find one? It's just, we knew like we need to be intentional on what the heck we're doing because these two little souls, these empaths, I don't know where they came from, like are going to,
and Mike,
I'm like, they're going to absorb everything. How we act, what we do, they're watching and they are going to soak it in. And so we started like doing all these like really not weird, beautiful things. Mike and I was like, if you think I'm going to meet you at like McDonald's to transfer the kids, you're insane. And we would call it like the transfer. It was like, we have all these super strange, but they're us words where it was like, no, I'm going to like carry my children into your home and I'm going to hang out and I'm going to walk around and I'm going to not make it this terrible, like, peace out, you're your dad's problem now, kid. Because I think that's how they would feel that way. Like, mom squealed her tires leaving. She must really not like us. Like, I feel like that's what they would think. And so it was like, we are going to hug, even if you're mad at me about stuff, because you will get mad at each other going through this. It sucks. Freaking sucks. But like, you're going to hug me because the kids are watching us. So you're going to hug me because that is like what they are going to say or what they're going to feel. And then it was like, well, love is like, I love love. I love the word love. Love. I love to hear it. I love to say it. I love love, which is so weird because I got divorced, but I love love. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, I still wanted the kids to hear that. And so did Mike. And it was like, but it felt weird to us to be like, hey, I love you, bye. Not to the kids. We would say I love you to the kids, but like Mike and I. And then randomly was like, I got love for you, homie. And it like stuck. And every single time we hang up the phone, we drop the kids off, we leave, gymnastics. It's like, I got love for you. I left out the homie. I leave that out every once in a while. But we still say like, I got love for you. It's like abbreviated in our texts. Like no one knows what that means. But it like started to feel good because it's like, yes, we are separating and I'm going to be alone in my house. And that is really freaking hard when you sit in your house alone for the first time in 13 years. I still have him. Like he is still going to help me through this and I'm going to help him through this. And so that was like recreating our relationship so we could support each other for these kids. A lot of that came from Catherine because I remember Catherine's like, what you say is like how you're going to start feeling and then that's how your day is going to go. And like, I just was like, okay. And I just, she was like helping me. And then I was like, I need to take this and help my kids now and Mike. And I was like, okay, like I was driving the kids to school one morning and I was like, okay, we're going to start something. And they're like, what now, Mom? Like I was doing lots of stuff. I was like, you just are going to say me. And I'm going to say a couple things and you answer with me. And I was like, who's going to have a good day? And they're like, me. Who's in charge of their day? Me? I mean, they were like, what is Mom doing? And then I was like, who loves Mommy? And they were like, me. And I was like, who does Mommy love? And they were like, me. I was like, all right. Well, that was 10 months ago and we've done it every single day. And I think I have like watched it literally change those kids. And trust me, their me is really loud now. And they smile and they love it. And every once in a while they throw in another like, who's happy it's snowing? Me. Like, I'm like, okay. And it just like stuck. And I think it sets their day. I think it sets my day. And I mean, I hope they do it forever with their kids. Hopefully they have. But I think it was just some of those like little things we were doing. And like, making these bracelets that I have not taken off and Mike hasn't either, or Mike and Emmer haven't either, but Emmer was like really struggling with separation and like going back and forth. And I was like, I started reading The Invisible String, which everybody that has a child should get that book, or anybody who has separation anxiety like myself should read it to themselves every night. But, and so then I was like pretending to tie string on Emerson's wrist, strapping him at daycare or at preschool. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Let's make some damn bracelets. Like, I don't need to pretend. So then I made these bracelets and Emerson says, Mommy loves me. And then it's Emerson. And so then I'm like, you touch this when you're feeling sad, and it like started with when you're at school. And then that was in place. Like the first night they stayed at Daddy's, like, don't forget you touch your bracelet. I'm there. Like, I got you. Like, I'm still with you. I think I probably needed all of the things I was doing for the kids for myself. Yeah, totally.
What's that like when you're home the first few times and they're gone and you're starting this permanently?
Really sad in your soul. Like not sad. Like I knew they were fine. Right. And I knew it was like steps to take. But the first night that I like left them, I didn't leave them, but like, I dropped them off at Mike's for their sleepover, which Mike told him he bought a place kind of like a cabin and it would be his place with the kiddos for them to go and they could like design it however they wanted. And I, once Mike like said that out loud, I was like, I can roll with that. Yeah. Like you're going to Dad's cabin. Dad's going to live at the cabin. Like, right. Cause it was like, I don't know. It worked because the kids weren't scared then. And then I wasn't scared. Like I was like, okay, you're right. Like they're 0.7 miles down the road.
But words are powerful.
Yes.
And you can tell that you've worked with Catherine and you're correcting yourself a lot because we have these words we use, but Catherine calls herself the word police because it's so true. What you say out loud matters.
Yes.
And you're teaching that to your kids.
Yes.
By you investing in you've now changed the trajectory of your kid's life.
Yes.
Mike's life.
Yes.
Everyone that you touch and encounter and
Our kids' life.
Yes. All by pouring into you.
Yeah, truly. And Mike has been like, he was like, I'm so thankful that you did that because he's like, I feel like I'm getting you back, but I'm getting you back in our new way. And so he was like very supportive of that. And a couple months ago, he was like, we should have done this years ago. I was like, okay, settle down, pal. Like, I didn't regret any of the last years. Like, what? But we both are so much happier, and the kids are so much happier. And I'm not making that up. Like, I think people think like, oh, you're just like saying your kids are happy. But like, there has been times of like true validation sitting at their conferences when we didn't tell anybody. And, you know, Emerson's preschool teacher is like, I don't know what has happened, but Emerson is like just blossomed in the last couple of months. He's like talking about his feelings and helping all of his classmates, and he's so happy. And I remember like looking at Mike, and we like smiled. I think we high-fived, and the teacher was like, yeah, you guys should be. And I was like, no, we separated 4 months ago, you know, and she's like, huh? And she's like, I had no idea. And I was like, that's the point.
She's like, can you write a book for me to
She
give
was
to all
like-
the other parents?
I was like, I didn't want you to know. Like, I wanted you to organically assess the situation. And I remember her like thanking Mike and I. She's like, thank you so much. I watch what parents do to children and how they impact them every single day. And I would have never thought that that's what was happening at home. And so it was like, yeah, like, so just those little pieces of like happiness through like the hardest thing ever, like, were just popping up. And I think every single time it just kind of like fueled Mike and I a little bit more.
What do you think some of those practices were that helped with your cohesiveness?
Sharing our feelings. Because like I wasn't doing it. Where I'd be like, okay, Mike, my heart is pounding. I'm really, really anxious. I really need you at this transfer. Like, you grab the bin and just like be super positive and happy. And because I'm about to crack, I can feel it. And so he would play that role during that time. And so then I could, you know, leave and bawl and be hysterics and like feel my feels and know, like, at the end of the day, my kids they were okay. They really were okay. And I remember, you know, Elena would ask her questions, age appropriate, and we would answer them, you know, and she'd be like, why do you and mom, or why do you and daddy have separate houses? And it was like, because we just realized we're way better mommy and daddies when we have our own space, you know? And she's like, oh, okay. And then I remember, like, again, I was like, do you have anybody in your class that mom and dad live like we do? Because I didn't want to say the word. Mm-hmm. But I was like, is she the only one? And she's like, yeah. So-and-so's mom's house, dad's house, and mom's getting married. And I was like, tell me more.
Tell me their names.
I was like, yeah, what do you think about that? She's like, I think it's great. And I was like, okay. Like, we're going to roll with it, you know? But it impacts every single relationship in your life. And, you know, my niece and nephew, very similar to you, live 4 doors down. And it was like, you know, they'd knock on the door and be like, Arlene and Emerson here. And I'm like, no, they're at Uncle Mike's. And, you know, then I'm answering to 2 other little people. Like, why are they at Uncle Mike's? Because it's Uncle Mike's time, you know? And like, how I react is how they're going to engage and take it in. I don't need them 4 doors down bawling because they're worried about auntie. Like, don't be worried about me. I'm okay. It's just different. It's how we live, you know? I think that was just being intentional, who I was talking to, what I was saying, how I was saying it, being truthful. Because again, trying to make up that I hated Mike. I didn't hate Mike. Just realizing that. And Mike, like, if I had to have an ex-husband, I'm glad I have him, you know? But then sometimes people are like, we could never be like you and Mike. And it's like, do you think this is how we were operating and that is why we got a divorce? Because it's not. I can tell you that. We worked our asses off and invested back in our relationship to get a divorce. So it's like, yes, you could do this if you wanted to. You don't want to. At the end of the day, you don't want to, which is hard for some people to hear, for sure.
Yeah, I think about being intentional and the effort that requires, the thought, the communication, the probably breath work and getting enough sleep. And like you said, you work your ass off, but I think it's important to acknowledge that it is easier to bash each other. It is easier just to say the first thing that comes to your mouth. It is easier to like try and make yourself look good and just listen to your ego and make yourself like hopefully look better than he's making you look, right? And it's this battle that people get caught up in. I think anything really worth it, anything that you're really proud of, or anything that is really beautiful in your life, it's because you went through some hardship. You went through some tough times. You worked your butt off to have this beautiful thing. And I think that speaks to this. And it's important to think about, like, the easy move isn't always the smartest one. Even though in the moment, you know, your impulse decision might be to bash your ex, but if I could say anything, that is the worst thing that you can do. And anytime I talked with you or Mike, because the day that you're talking about, I called him to make sure he's okay too, and you were very concerned about him, is just exactly what you're doing, where you refuse to talk poorly about each other, and not even like in front of your kids, but to anybody. You never know when your kid's around the corner. You never know what they're hearing. They can pick up on your energy, you know? And so I think that's really powerful that you guys did the work, like the tough, not so easy work.
And Mike's not going to go away. He's my kid's dad. So you're damn right he's going to be at the soccer game, because if I'm sitting there watching it, he's watching it too. But, you know, I was like, I can either make this hell or I can make this okay. And it's been actually, which is so weird, it's been kind of fun also, like doing these things that people didn't think we could do. You know, that fuels you. It's like, oh, you think that? Watch this.
Like getting a dog and having the dog go house to house?
Yes, my Moco. Our Moco. Yeah, that people thought we were crazy. So we always wanted a dog. We talked about it all the time. But again, I was like, I can't get a dog because am I going to stay married to this man? I don't know. I like analyzed everything. Like wouldn't even like go get takeout. But we got Moco, and Mike and I, only to each other, we were like, we're going to get a divorce puppy. And I was like, let's do this. Like, and he'll just stay with the kids and go with the kids back and forth. And whenever I would like say that, people are like, what? It's freaking awesome. It's like magical. When they're a puppy, you deal with it for 2 days and then it's carry on, Moco. But the kids, and like Mike the other day was like, that was the best like mental health thing we did, because it helped us too. We'd be silly if we said it didn't. It was like our therapy dog that stayed with the kids. They always had the one person thing with them. They love it. It was like we were growing our family while getting divorced. People are like, that's really weird. But again, like we were like, I don't care. They're not raising the dog, and they're not raising the kids, and they're not getting divorced. We are. So like, let's do this how we want to do it and make it easier, the easiest we can on us. Like, what is going to help us? Let's do that. But people have a lot of trouble understanding that.
Did you ever find that lonely?
Yeah.
How'd you deal with that?
Crying.
Feeling the feels.
Feeling the feels. Crying. Journaling. I wrote down a lot of things. Like if I was like finding myself saying something over and over and over, I would just like write it down and then be like, God, no, move on. Like, let's go, kid. But yeah, feeling the feels and just reminding myself and like listening to my sessions with Catherine on repeat.
I think something too to bring up is, you know, you're painting this picture of what it can be, but it doesn't mean that it's perfect, and it doesn't mean that it's easy still.
Yeah.
Because you texted me on Christmas and you were really struggling, and like you guys are in a good spot. So talk about that. Like, you know, even though you and Mike are in a great place and the best you feel you've been in your relationship, why holidays are hard?
Holidays are hard. Thanksgiving, you know, was like the first holiday where we were like totally legally divorced. Like we were well into this. This train had left the station. And he got invited to Thanksgiving before I did. His family doesn't live here in Minnesota. His family's in North Carolina. My aunt and uncle host Thanksgiving, and he ran into my uncle at Costco. Good old Costco. And my uncle was like, yeah, you know, Thanksgiving's at 2, whatever. I didn't even have the family invite yet. I'm like, hold up, what? Then I was like, oh, whatever. I mean, yeah, if they want Mike there, he's been in their life for 13 years. Like, yeah, you can go to Thanksgiving. I don't care. So I didn't think anything of it. Like, I was like, yeah, I don't care. It'll be fine. The kids will be there. He's like, can help me. And then I ended up, I hurt him on Thanksgiving unintentionally, because I was like, you should be so thankful that you're here. And I realized that came across like as a huge dig to him. So then, you know, him and I are crying in my aunt and uncle's garage. And it's like, it is hard. It sucks. It's hard. It's really hard. And then who I was am, hopefully after this airs, dating still. I didn't even think to tell him Mike was coming. And then when I did, like, I hurt him and I'm like, what? And he's like, you didn't tell me Mike would be there. And it's like, I didn't even think anything of it. And he's like, well, I would like to know that he's around. And it's like, why? But then I'm like, I'm the same way. Like, to him, and knowing like, oh, there's a girl at your house. Who's this girl? But I think me knowing like, no, Mike and I, our relationship is something so different now. I like really don't think, I just don't think Mike and I would ever be back together. I remember when we did our Zoom divorce, we were like, we can still get married again. Like if we needed to, like, let's just move, let's go. But I didn't realize I was like, at that point, I felt like I was hurting everybody. And I remember just bawling, and I was driving his father's truck down to his family the next day, not Mike, who I am dating. And I spent like 2 hours crying and like my mom called and she's like, how you doing? I'm like, well, I hurt Mike yesterday and I hurt him, the other one, and I'm like failing everywhere. That's how I felt. And, and then she's like, well, are you okay? And I'm like, nobody actually asked me yesterday if I was okay. Because it was hard. It's hard. No, I'm not okay. But I'm trying the best I can. Then Christmas, again, like my favorite thing ever. We're hosting that. And I was like, no, Mike, like we're going to do presents, Christmas morning for the kiddos. And then it's not a theme, I promise. But then I bought him
a plane ticket.
Bought him a plane ticket to go see his family on Christmas. And so I knew like he was leaving before I was going to actually host. So it was like, okay, I don't have to do that battle again. I did it on Thanksgiving, like I won't have to do that. But then like it came time for Mike to leave and I like walk him to the door and I just start bawling. And he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm not sad. I'm like really happy you're going to see your family. And I'm like thankful I don't have to juggle two men. That I'd be juggling two men today. And I get to, do my holiday with, who I want to be here. And I got to do this part with you. And so I was like happy, but I was like still sad. Not sad, but it's just like our life is different. And so every single thing like still is like a first. Mm-hmm. And I think knowing like last Christmas started this tidal wave. I can't believe a year has gone by. It's insane. My life is so different. It's so good now. Not that it was bad, but like it was worth it. I don't want to keep doing it, but it was worth going through the way we did it. We're still doing it every day. Like something comes up that we're trying to figure out. And it's like, I'll call Mike and be like, okay, this is coming up. Like, what do you see? How do you feel? What do you want to do? And we just like
social events or
just like Lena's got a meet coming up, do you want to drive separate? We typically do just because I usually take her early, but, just like gauging each other and like, I was very thoughtful to Mike when like I would know that I was going to have people over and that the person I was dating was going to come over. And it was like, I want you to know that this is happening tonight because we know people and they love to pay attention to everybody else. Mm-hmm. Like someone might say to you, I saw a guy in Lindsay's house and I want you to know I'm going to tell you first. Like I was super cautious at the very beginning of that with him, and he was too, like on the other way, like telling me. And it's like, he'd be like, I'm going to go on a date to this restaurant. And I was like, thank you for telling me. Like, you don't have to tell me. He's like, well, I just didn't want you to walk in. I was like, yeah, I guess that would have been weird. But then I'm like, for them, because I think Mike and I would have been like, what's up? Like, high five. Hey.
I got love for you, homie.
I got love for you, homie. You get that. Order the steak. Like, So it's so much harder on everybody else. And that's the part that still today sucks. Like, that's the part that's really hard. Because Mike and I, we're okay. It's not that we don't care, but like, Mike will talk to me about my like relationship with this other person. And I'll talk to him. And, the other day I thought he was upset because I thought their relationship ended. And I was like, I will punch her. I will.
She sure would.
And Mike's like, no, I'm not upset because of her. This happened at work. I'm like, oh, okay. Whew. And then he's like, I can't believe you just said that. I'm like, it's true. Like, don't mess with him. Because if you mess with him, you're messing with my kids and you're messing with me. So don't do that. So it's like this weird, it's not weird. It's like a beautiful collage. What do you think about that word?
A new adventure.
Yeah, it's like new beginnings. They're fun. They are fun because I'm like, oh, like I started a new job. And they're like, will you write us a introductory letter about yourself and attach some pictures? And I was like, oh boy. And I'm like, hi, I'm Lindsay. And I think I was like, I co-parent with my best friend who lives a mile down the road. I have a really hot boyfriend. And life is good. And I remember being like, yeah, like I'm not going to, like, I'm not letting these people create this bad thing. Like, hi, I'm Lindsay, I'm divorced and my life's not like, no. I was like, this is it. And we're doing this. It's great. And I actually remember, I sent it off, but they send it out like before you actually start. And my first day on Slack, another girl who is our age, maybe a little younger, she was like, hi, nice to meet you. I read your letter and I just want to applaud you. Like, that was so wonderful to read. I too am going through a separation. And I just thought it was super like organic and humble and honest. And I was like, yeah, you're welcome. So I was like, did I make her feel good today? Like, that's fun if I did, So yeah, like it is new beginnings and it's fun. And again, I think if you're intentional on all the things you do, like, you can make it however you want to make it.
There's the ownership piece.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say. And that takes courage. It's not easy for everyone to do, to say, I'm the director of my story, and divorce can be ugly and terrible and poor me and victim card. So what do you feel like switched for you when you were like, I'm not going to be the victim. I am going to write a story that I want to read and keep reading chapters that fulfill me.
Like working with Catherine and realizing like she was like you, like she's like you. Oh, I wish I could really remember what she used to say to me right now, but she was like, your intent is to like make other people like feel good and feel alive and like live in your energy and all this. And I think at those beginning stages when I would say that and people were like, I'm sorry, and then they would that was like yuck. Like,
get that
don't
energy
do
away.
that. Like, why do you have to? Why? Don't do that. I think that really how other people were reacting to what I was telling them was like making me mad. Like, that's your problem that you're going to I'm not telling you to be sad. I'm not telling you to be mad either. I'm just telling you like, it's okay. We're doing great. We really are. So I think also making sure that how I was like describing it was how I was feeling. I'll say it. It's hard. It's hard. It sucks. It's very emotional, sad. You question everything. It questions every relationship, friendships, siblings, parents, grandparents, family, neighbors. It impacts and affects everything. So it's hard.
How are you prioritizing how you feel over how they feel about it?
Honestly, it's like back to that like deep cleaning of my life that I did. Because I was caring so much about all these other things that I was not even realizing how it affected me. And now I just like, I'm sorry to them that they want to feel this way about Mike and I, or about me having 3 vehicles in my driveway. Like, I'm sorry for you that that's how you feel. I'm not going to absorb that and I'm not going to take it in.
That's a Catherine thing too. You turn from having anger and judgment about how other people are making you feel. It turns into compassion. It turns into, oh, that's not even a me thing. That is a them thing. And they're struggling. They are in need of some love and compassion. And so I feel that, not that you didn't have that before.
Oh, I was cold-hearted for a long time.
But you do start to care less about what other people say or think. And if they are in your circle because they deserve it and you're willing to let them in, you're very aware of the energy they're bringing. And you're able to realize whatever is happening with them is a them thing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's like taught me to be super intentional too with my time. Because it's like, when you do start separating or splitting your time parenting, you don't, like, I didn't have kids thinking I was only going to have my kids 50% of the time. Like, that's really hard to sit with. I hope Emerson loses his teeth at Mike's house because I hate that. But you do miss out on things that you're not necessarily prepared for and you don't think about. And so knowing that when I don't have my kids, I'm not going to do something just because I was like invited or told or it's like, if it's not going to fuel me and it's not going to make me feel good, then I'm not doing it. I don't need to go. I just started choosing wisely what I was doing with my time. I don't want to say that I wish I would have done that earlier because again, like I don't want anything to change in my story and like how I got here today because it wouldn't be what it is today if something changed. So I'm happy now because I think I will be a better mom. I hope I'm being a better like friend. I'm definitely being a better person to Mike for sure. I know that one of my last sessions with Catherine, I was like, "Hey, tell me why relationships fail." And she's like, "Good heavens, we've been talking for like 7 months." And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to screw up the next one." Help. Like what, why do they fail? And she's like, "You just really want to learn about relationships." And it was like, yes, like tell me. And it's like knowing like to be thoughtful and, you know, a big thing for me is like separation anxiety. I've always had it. And so I'm always like, "Oh, but I'm not going to see that person for like 6 days. They don't like me." But it's like they're traveling. So just like, again, having the confidence in the relationships that I'm spending my time on and investing in. And if it's not making me feel good, I just don't want to do it anymore. Because you get one life. I want to make it is going to be good.
Amen, sister.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like entering a new relationship? Or what was that like?
Is this PG? I'm just kidding. Never.
It can be any rating we want.
Well, scary because it's not just Lindsay. I have 2 kids and I have an ex-husband.
And a dog.
And a moco, which means booger in Spanish, just in case you guys wanted to know.
Of course it does.
And so at the beginning, you know, when I would have a little time, it was like, yeah, I'll come hang out with you. Because it was like going to keep my mind off of the fact that I just dropped the kids off, you know. But then I'm like, ooh, like it's like I didn't know, like, am I doing this right? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't dated somebody in 14 years or whatever, however long. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. I have no idea. And I was like, really honest. It was like, I'm going to screw up and I'm not going to know what to say. And I'm going to say the wrong thing. And just know, like, I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure this out. And he was the best through all of that because he was like, he knew I was seeing Catherine and he was just like, you are going to be so thankful no matter what happens in life that you did this. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But then eventually I would tell Catherine, like, this is making me happy and our kids are making me happy and I want this stuff to start being in the same place. Like, I want happy at the same place. I want it all together. And so I was like, I think I'm going to do it. And I was like, but I'm actually going to have a group of people over and I'm going to have him come over. And then my kids, I'm just going to be like, Mommy's having some friends over and we're going to hang out. We're going to play outside. Because I know he was very intentional too. Like, you know, he's like, I like you, but I need to make sure that I can mesh with your kids and your kids mesh with me. And like, I know that's you. I know that that's your, like, you know, you're a package deal. So like, I want to watch and feel this too. And so I was like, well, then I'm certainly not labeling this with anything. Mm-hmm. So it was like Mommy's friend. And then they like just started interacting. And then I remember like the first time he slept over, I had another couple sleep over and I was like, the roads are bad, so they're going to sleep over. But it was like a way to not mask, that's not the right word, but like smoosh him to sleeping over without
slowly.
Yes. Like everything I did, I was like, this is going to be very, very slow and thought out because I didn't want to like push it on the kids. Didn't want to push it on him. You know, now it's like we've stayed at his house with the dogs and the kids sleep, you know, and they like love it. And somebody else called him my boyfriend and Elena was like, he's your boyfriend? I was like, just like my good friend. But it's like, she knows.
Yeah. Like, Mom, just say what it is.
And Emerson's had a boyfriend and a fiance since he was 3. So it's like, he's like they're like, come on, Mom. You know, and now it's like no big deal. And they like probably likes spending time with him more than me. And Moko loves him. And Mike's like fine with it. You know, it's good. But it's hard. Because I remember one time he was like, I got upset because of something he chose to do. Weird. And I was like, it just feels like you're choosing that over spending time with me. And he's like, yeah, well, you're always going to choose something else over me. Like, I will never be your number one priority. And that like crushed me. I was like, well, when I don't have my kids, you're my number one priority. So like learning through those little things was really hard. And we're still figuring it out.
And you probably always will be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just hope that you have trust in what you've already shown yourself, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot even look at you. Great. You've been so thoughtful, and that is who you are. That will never change. I hope you trust that every relationship you have will be fine because of who you are. You have been the most thoughtful friend, mother, wife, girlfriend, sister. Holy shit. Jen, you are so lucky. She got her sister 40 birthday presents on her 40th birthday. Like, I just want you to trust that that will never change. That is who you are. So your relationships, like, you can trust that you're going to continue to be this intentional, thoughtful person, and they're going to be just fine and pan out the way they're supposed to by you being exactly who you are.
And just, they're so much better. Everything is better.
And as Catherine says, the better it gets,
Better
it gets, baby. And we are proof. Catherine, shout out. You mean you've gotten a million shout outs, but all
Jeez.
three of us love you.
This
We're
is
so
like
grateful.
a Catherine commercial.
I know.
But it just speaks
And
to
so it is.
being okay with yourself has to be the first priority. You can't think about others unless you are whole, coming from a place of love. Like you love love, and you're in love with yourself and your life.
Whoa.
And that's powerful.
Yeah, it's hard to admit to a little bit for me, but that's probably another episode.
But I feel like you're continuing to create these shifts to make sure that you're okay. Your unit is okay. Any negative energy, get the hell away.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. Divorce is so taboo and everyone's placing their judgments, and this is our thing to navigate and to work through. We're going to do it our way. And I think that's so beautiful and something that as we've come from divorced parents, people listening have their own experience with divorce. Like, it is a very unique experience, but more often than not, it's not good.
No.
You are juggling a lot and navigating a lot, and you're doing it elegantly and in a way that your kids are better for it.
I hope, like, I remember saying, if I can do this in a good way with love, my kids are going to be awesome when they run into that classmate that's like, my mom or dad moved out and they think their life is over. I was like, if I do this right, they can then support somebody else because they know it doesn't have to be that bad, you know? So they're going to rock. They do rock.
And they rock because of you, because you're their rock.
Thanks.
See what I did there?
Yeah, that's good.
If anybody knows Lindsey, she is a very type A person. So I have no doubt that her 3 gold stars have been established. They probably sent them over already. And Lindsey, would you please share your 3 gold stars with our listeners?
Yes, I will. Number 1, listen to your gut and trust your heart. Lead with intention and respect. And own your life. You have one of them. So like you own it, you take it, good with the bad, the ugly, the hard, and you make it what you want to make it.
Ugh, so beautiful. Okay, more questions for you. Ready for Unleashing Ivy?
Oh boy.
Rapid fire questions.
Meteorologist.
Lindsey really wants to be a meteorologist.
Oh, I love it.
Should be a good one. My question, because, you know, when you and I first became friends, you had zero confidence. You had just come from a pretty abusive relationship and had no idea how to prioritize yourself or feel good about your looks or anything. And now it's different. Mm-hmm. You have, not that it looks have anything to do with it, but you have lost a significant amount of weight, have prioritized your health, eating healthier, moving your body, all of these things, which we all know comes from our mental health. And so I'm curious how you are going to continue to convince yourself that you are worthy pouring into yourself and into your health?
I think I bought a treadmill for my bedroom. That's a big step. But I know that I feel better when I'm paying attention to myself. And so I buy these like journals that prompt me to write every day and ask me questions, because I may not be able to invest in like a Catherine, but there is so many resources out there that I know that I can still invest in ways that will better me. I love to research and all of those things. And I think I'm just aware that I feel better when I do things I want to do and put my thoughts first. And I think that is just like addictive, and I will keep doing it.
I love that. And I think that teaches your kids too. Like, if I'm okay with my mental health, which I know you've had a journal that you've passed back and forth with your daughter, that check in with yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, that was your first step. You didn't even know how you felt. Mm-mm. And now you really know. If you guys can see this journal, she can flip through here. Check it out on YouTube. She's checking in.
Oh, jeepers.
I mean, you've clearly felt the benefits of investing the time, the money in you. But my question is around those who haven't yet, who feel like it's selfish, who don't want to invest in them. What would you say to that mom, that woman?
Just do it. It's so scary. Fear is just excitement on pause. Ooh. Catherine. Ooh. Quote Catherine. She used to say that to me like every time we met, because I was always so scared of everything. And if you even are questioning that, like, I want to do something for myself, just do it, because it makes everything else rich. Like, my feelings, I thought I loved love before. Everything I feel is like, I can't ever say the word, exacerbated. That one. Everything like feels bigger, but that means the suck and the sad is sad, but like the good is good. And like, it just do it. Just do it. It'll make you better. And who doesn't want to be around somebody better than somebody you already like? Like, when they get better, you want to be around them. People want to be around good.
You get better. People get better.
Yeah.
Everyone gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason it's calling on your heart. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a reason. Listen to it. Listen to your gut. Trust your heart. Just take it slow.
Go back to the 3 gold stars.
Yeah. All right. Last question. You know what's coming.
I don't know.
What is one thing you wish you would have known sooner?
That I'd be okay. And that my kids will be okay.
It's a good one.
And Mike. He's decent.
Everyone would be
mm-hmm.
okay. As long as you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing to pour into you to make sure you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
So proud of you for sitting here today.
This takes balls.
Yeah. And it's a lot to reflect on. It's a lot to figure out how to express this in a way that, you know, you've felt a lot of raw feelings in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different stages. And I think it's important not only for you to do that, but to share it, how divorce or separation can look. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a super ugly word if it is full of love. And the fact that you and Mike have created a better relationship, I'm so happy that you're in this place and that you sat with us to share your story. This is very powerful. People in 70 countries are going to be listening to this.
That's terrifying.
Or more, probably more by the time it airs.
Oh, good.
But I think it's important to see that love can be anywhere with anyone in any circumstance. It's very powerful. And I'm so happy that you took the time to reflect and sit here. And I just love you so much.
I love you. Thank you.
I love you.
Remember, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will, and you won't like it anyway.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Tell your damn story.
Mm-hmm.
You're helping so many people, including us. We love you.
I love you guys.
All right, Linz, we hate to see you go, but we love to watch you leave.
Mm.
Will you share your piece of gold with our listeners?
A broken crayon still colors.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.